So let's see. Lashon hara mahu. What is lashon hara? Hamasapir begenuso shel chavero, a person who speaks disparagingly of somebody else, afal pi shomer emes, even if it's true. Yeah.
That's what they always say.
Yeah.
They always say, but it's true.
Yeah. Excuse me, I don't want to hear that. I'm concerned that might be lashon hara. It says, well, what do you mean? It's the truth. That's exactly the point.
From America,
That's exactly the point.
he's only the truth.
Yeah. Even if you're telling the truth, if it's bad and there's no reason to say it, that's the definition of lashon hara. If it's not true, it's something else. That's what he says here. But if the bad thing that he's saying is actually a lie, a false, that's something else. That's Motzei Shemra. That's promulgating a bad name, meaning that maybe that's slander. What? Defamation. Very good. Baal lashon hara zeh sheyoshev omer, the master of evil speech is one who sits and says, Kach v'kach asa ploni. This is what such and such a person did. Yeah, and that is what the person did. But he's publicizing the bad thing that this person did. Kach v'kach hayu avosav, or that's what his parents were, or his ancestors were. Kach v'kach shemati lav, such and such I heard about him. V'omer dvarim shel ganai, and all of these things are derogatory, derisive, negative. Allah v'kosav omer, regarding such a person, the verse says, Yachres Hashem kol sifsei chalakos, God will cut off the lips. Or no, God will cut off all of these people who have slippery lips. Lashon medaberes gedolos, whose tongue speaks loudly or speaks largely. Yeah. So God is going to cut off people who speak disparaging about other people. I'm sure he's going to discuss doing it the to'eles, which is if there is some positive reason why you need to say this about this person to that person, that's a different story, right? That's a different story. It's in order to protect him or guard him or prevent him from harm, right? That's a different story. But here we're just talking about, wow, you'll never believe what I saw Moshe do. I can't believe it. Can you believe he actually did ba 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 ba? Lashon hara.
What if you don't mention the person? You're just so excited to tell the story about what this person did.
If there's no way that the person listening will figure out who it is, and you have to figure out whether he might tell somebody who would know who it is, and then he might find out secondarily who you spoke about. So if there's no way, then technically speaking, that would not be lashon hara. Aside from it's just being negative to speak that way about a fellow Jew. But since it's not about anyone in particular, theoretically speaking, it wouldn't be lashon hara. However, since it's quite likely that some way or the other, this person will find out either now or later from you or from somebody else who it really is. So it's so close to being revealed that it's practically speaking, you shouldn't do it.
It's like dust.
Yeah, right. I mean, there is a notion of avak lashon hara, and that I don't think this would be avak lashon hara, but still it spreads, and the rumor spreads, and before you know it, this person would. I don't imagine that this book is going to go into all of the detailed halachas of lashon hara that we could learn. The Chavetz Chaim, the Chavetz Chaim Shmir Lashon. But he might go into the point about whether, if it's something which is well known anyway, everybody knows about it, everybody talking about it, so you're not revealing anything that this person doesn't know anyway, or that he won't know soon, and there is a basis for permitting that as well. This what?
What about newspapers?
It doesn't matter whether it's verbal or written. If you're communicating something wrong about a person who you shouldn't be speaking about, then that would be lashon hara. Again, there are details. You're talking about your average good Jew should not be spoken badly about. There might be exceptions, like you need to for whatever reason, or it's something which is well known anyway, or if it's actually not a good person, or the lashon is about a person who's wicked, and you are allowed to speak lashon hara about him. Those would be exceptions, but the general rule. The sage said, Kol v'saper lashon hara ki'ilu kafar bi'ikar. Anybody who says lashon hara is as if he denies God. Shneimar says, Asher omru lil shoynenu nagbir. The David Melech says in Tehillim about the wicked, they say, our tongues will prevail. Sfasenu itanu, our lips are with us. Mi adon lanu, who has control over us? So the wicked say this while unleashing the venomous arrows of their tongues, but it causes them to actually deny God, as it says, Mi adon lanu, who has control over us? And since this causes them to brazenly say, who can control us, implying even God has no power over us, it was compared to denying God. He does wicked to his evil to his friend, because he causes this person to look bad in other people's eyes and other forms of loss that are going to come about his speaking badly about him. And there's not even any tangible benefit for the one who's speaking the lashon hara, just the insidious pleasure of speaking evilly about somebody else. So that's why it's even more problematic. It's worse than theft, for example. When a person steals, as bad as it is, at least you can understand the motivation is to gain some tangible benefit. Certainly one who is accustomed to speaking lashon hara, parak al shamam, ol shamayim alav, he breaks the yoke of heaven from upon him, because he transgresses without any tangible benefit to himself. It's even worse, right, than thievery or adultery. Whereas bad as those things are, you can understand the motivation being some physical, tangible benefit. And in those transgressions, you don't have the same severity of breaking off upon oneself the yoke of heaven as one does with lashon hara, because there's really no benefit to the lashon hara other than, like I said, the pleasure of speaking evilly about somebody. So it's even a more severe transgression in that respect. Okay.